So a friend has given me this Daiwa Moonraker rod to try and fix up. It's got some very old rings on it, and it's missing some rings too. But I recall these rods from a while back, and they were good rods at the time. I'm sure they'll still catch fish. So this section is the worst. Missing the tip ring, and then a bit of a crappy ring just there. Missing a ring altogether there. Broken whipping there. And that ring's about the best one on the rod. I managed to pick up this old boat rod from a car boot sale for £4, and I was thinking that maybe the rings might be handy at some point, but most of all I was thinking that this tip ring would come in handy. So we're going to get that off and use it on the Moonraker. And to get a tip ring off, you just need to apply a bit of heat like this, and then get the pliers on. It should come off. So that's the tip ring off. And I also bought on eBay a little set of new rings for the Moonraker. They were a very reasonable price, and just going to have to I think have a look at the tip on the rod and see if the ring fits okay. Did take just a little bit of fiddling about, but it's all good now, and I'm going to use a little bit of epoxy resin on that, I think. So the observant amongst you might notice that it's a lot sunnier now in these clips than the ones at the beginning of the video. That's because it's the next morning and the sun's out. It's a great day. But there's a little bit of tidying up to do. I don't know if you can see here, but just a few loose threads, and you can see those. This is starting to unwind, so I just need to make that good as well. I don't know, a touch of super glue and varnish should do that, I think. And then we've got to strip the rings off. These rings here, and obviously on the other half of the rod. And then we'll look at the preparation and whipping the new rings on. So we've got that off really easily. Just got to do the remaining ones now, and then got to clean this up. Now I know this seems like the most obvious piece of advice ever, but don't forget to line up your ring with your reel seat. And before we start the whipping, we're just holding it the ring in place with some masking tape, nice and tight. So just a couple of things about the whipping thread. You need nylon. This is fishhawk whipping thread. It's the proper stuff for the job, and you really need that. Cotton's no good. Well, it's not as durable anyway. So I'm sorry about the dodgy focus sometimes, but this is a little bobbin holder, you see, and it just helps keep a bit of tension on the whipping while you're working, and it pulls off the spool with just a little tension. I don't think you have to have this, but it just makes the job a bit easier. So that being said, I think that bobbin's going to be no use to me, because the grey I want to use is on this thin spool, and I don't think the bobbin holder is going to work very well with that. So we'll have to see how we get on. So here's a useful tip on how to get started with the whipping. You make a loop and just put a little bit of masking tape on it, and then you take the thread, and I hope you can see, you just start to whip across the tail of the thread here. You just pull the loop down to here, and it makes a neat beginning, and it binds itself with this tail underneath. And to help with sort of rotating, all I've done is I've put the rod on my workbench on a cloth like this, just so that when I spin it, it's easier to turn. That's all I've done. Then to finish the whipping off, I hope you can see, you lay in a separate loop of line, of thread, whip over it, and then your final end you pass through the loop, and then you use the loop to pull your final bit of end thread back under the whipping you've just done, and that holds it in place. So that's the biggest one done. We've just got to do all the rest now. It's just a matter of repeating it all with each ring. So once all the whippings are done, then I'm going to apply this stuff called dope. It just looks like a thin varnish, but what it does is it has a tautening effect on the whippings, just tightens them all up. Well, just about finished, look, and on the very last ring on the rod I ran out of grey whipping and had to switch to some black. That's a bit frustrating. So my friend's rod is all finished now. I've rerung the whole thing in the end. I'm not sure if the focus will show you on this, if it's quite good enough, but just here I think it says London Road North, and that would be Ted Bean's tackle shop in Lowestoft. But anyway, there we go. It's all finished, and pretty decent rod really, lives to fight another day.